Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome. Round 13 in the FIDE Candidates 2024. I'm here with you, Grandmaster Nitzan Steinberg. And what can you see today? We have in the background Lionel Messi from Argentina and Barcelona. Of course, today he's playing in Inter Miami under Beckham. Yes, yes. So, my favorite player in football is just Messi. Unbelievable. He's the most, talented player in all time. What he's doing with his foot, with his left foot, also with his right foot, is just, only God can do something like this. So this is my favorite, and I really happy to share it with you. Of course, there are several very good and strong players in football, but Messi is the best in all time. So, round 13, what can we say? Only 2 rounds left until we get our World Championship challenger against Dingley Ren. It's unbelievable. Situation is very, very interesting, and let's see what can we see in this round. So we have him with the white pieces, Yanni Pomniachi against Hikaru Nakamura. Let's see it. E4, E5, knight E3, knight C6, bishop B5, A6, Spanish, Rui Lopez, bishop C5. A lot of moves, of course. Knight F6, knight G7, D6, B5, G6. But bishop C5 was played by Hikaru. Yanni Pomniachi is doing castle, knight G7, C3, knight G6, D4, bishop A7, and now bishop G5. It's very known, all of this. I also knew it with white pieces. F6, bishop E3, castle. And now knight bd2. I think in this position also d5 has a move. And I think knight c7, take on a7, rook takes, and d6, if I'm not mistaken. And take, b5, bishop b3, king h8. And it seems like white is fine. Of course, black is also fine. Knight bd2, bishop b7, maybe rook b7 with rook b6. And after it, to play bishop b7. So yeah, it's theory, but it's very known for both sides. So he played the move knight bd2. Makes sense also, just developing a piece. You can see that Yanni Pomniachi already spent like 11 minutes until this position. So king h8, very fast by Hikaru. Rook e1, e takes d4, knight takes d4. The point is, the more logical move is to play c takes d4, right? I think that for me it's more logical, but d5, this is the idea by Hikaru. And after e takes d5, I just think to play knight b4, or maybe also knight c7 also makes sense for me. But yeah, this is the idea. After c takes d4, d5 is just crushing the center, and bring also the bishop to g4, maybe to f5 in some ways. And this pawn on d4 will be weak after some things here. It will be like probably isolated pawn. So yeah, so he played the move knight takes d4, also makes sense, of course. Knight takes d4, and now bishop takes d4. You can see that Yanni Pomniachi wants, if he agrees to be with this pawn on d4, he wants to do it after exchanging these two bishops, because of course in this position this bishop will be weak and this bishop will be strong. Yes, this one with the blue. So bishop strong on a7, but this bishop on e3 is like a big pawn. So yeah, it's not the best. So bishop takes d4 makes sense, I think, for me. Bishop takes, c takes, and d5. Like we said, Hikaru wants to bring this pawn to be isolated pawn, and also to develop his bishop from c8. E takes d5, queen takes d5, and knight e4. It seems like now this pawn is isolated, but We have bishop strong on b3 will be d5, d6 maybe, rook c1. Rook on e1 is doing perfect job. So it seems like the white pieces are very good located in this position. Queen d8 makes sense, I think. Bishop c2. I think in this position maybe there was some improvement for Jan, maybe to play the move d5 in this position, because I understand of course that the bishop on a4, it seems like is doing nothing, but the rook is not coming to e8, this first one. Secondly, maybe, you know, in the next future, rook c1 and somehow rook e2, rook c2, and this pawn will be weak. And after this pawn will gone, maybe d6, d7, and this bishop will have some help in this diagonal. So yeah, d5, it seems like it was maybe the best move, and maybe white needs to wait for a move like b5, for example, and after this to bring bishop c2. Also bishop b3 makes sense for me, and you can go with this queen to h5, to d4. You know, this bishop will help defend this pawn on d5. So yeah, bishop c2, it's a little bit, I'm not sure about this move. Also d5, also rook c1 makes sense, a lot of sense, I think, just to develop this rook, because the bishop on a4 is doing fine. He's doing fine, and I'm not sure that on c2, in this position, in particular this position, he's doing better. So yeah, bishop c2 was played, f5. And this move was, I think, very strong by Caro. And he said that, okay, you know what? I understand you want to put the bishop in this diagonal, so I'm doing already f5. And my point is that I want to play queen g5, rook d8, knight h4, knight f4, f4, f3, bishop h3, right? So, you know, a lot of plans here for black. So bishop c2, you know, is bringing the f5 move, knight c5 and b6, knight d3 now played. Also knight e6, I think makes a little bit sense. Bishop takes, rook takes, and you know, in this position, you know, it was like, it's not a close position because, you know, the center is open absolutely, and white has a bishop, right? Where is the blue one? Yes, this is the blue one. And this knight, I'm not sure about him, right? So yeah, this bishop looks good. Maybe, I don't know, d5, queen h5, rook d1. This pawn will be weak. This pawn maybe will be weak. This knight on g6. So yeah, queen d7 probably. Maybe take. What about this one? Queen f3. I don't know. Bishop b3. Some ideas. I'm not sure. Yes, maybe it's losing already for white, but yeah, it's some idea. So knight d3 was played. Of course, queen takes d4, knight e5. This is the point. I think so. Queen takes d1. Now knight g6 takes, and rook a d1, and rook e7, rook d3, rook h3, bishop b3. Some ideas like this. Maybe. It seems like the initiative is strong here for white. So he played the move bishop b7, makes a lot of sense. Knight e5 and queen g5. So black just achieved, you know, all these pieces into the game. Queen already on g5, bishop on b7, rooks are connected, and they will come rook d8, rook a8 maybe. So this is it. d5 was played, rook a d8, bishop b3, c5 was played. You know, also bishop takes d5, I think makes sense here. Bishop takes, knight takes e5, rook takes, and c6. It seems to me that it's just a draw, taking d5 bishop. Of course, white will take with the rook, and you know, equal position absolutely. 5 pawns against 5 pawns, queen against queen, rook against rook, and it's a draw. So c5 was played. Also makes sense because he's pretending to say that, okay, this bishop on b3 is not so good. b5 c4 is coming. This bishop will help in this diagonal. So yeah, and this bishop on b3 is not good. So c5, of course, d takes c6, just blundering the queen. So the en passant is not good here at all. Knight f3, queen h5, knight e5, queen g5, and they repeated. And yeah, Yanni Pomnishi and Hikaru Nakamura said to themselves, okay, we have only one round to go. Let's go to the tie break. Maybe we will have some chances in the blitz, maybe in the rapid. and we are fine now in this very complicated position on on the standings. We are glad with the draw here. So they took it, and they go very fast to their bed to sleep, because tomorrow it will be a fantastic game here in the Candidates 2024 in Toronto. So let's see the second game of this round. Let's see Vidit against Abbasov. E4, E5, knight F3, knight F6. So Abbasov is doing the third time, I think, in this tournament, if I'm not wrong. We can see here the Petrov defense, the Russian defense. Knight takes E5, D6, yes, D4, D5, bishop D3, knight C6. Castle, as we know, we already talked about this position. Knight BD2, takes, bishop G4, C3, castle H3, bishop H5. Nothing to, to speak about. All of this very known. You can see Abbasov with 1 hour and 58 minutes. I also think that I saw this position already in my theory. G3 was played, queen D7, king G2, bishop G6, bishop takes, H takes, F takes. Yeah, why to take with F and not with H? I think also H takes G6 makes sense, but don't forget that in such positions, H4, H5, rook H1, this H file will be a little bit annoying for black. So after bishop takes G6, F takes G6 is bringing the opportunity to play in this file, the F file, somehow to play rook F7, rook F8, and it seems like very good position, But let's see what happens. So bishop F4 makes sense, developing a bishop and improving his piece. H6, I think in this position, I thought about also bishop D6, makes a lot of sense for me. Just take, queen takes, rook F7, rook F8, but maybe, I'm not sure. For me it seems logical, but yeah, maybe just H6, yeah, maybe it's a better move just to play G5, G4 maybe. Yeah, you know what, H6 is better, much better. Queen D3, G5, bishop E5, rook F7 makes a lot of sense, just putting his two rooks in the F file, this open file. Yeah, rook A1, rook F8, rook E3, A6. Also, like prophylactic move. Abbasov don't want to think about, like in some positions like queen B5. For example, if black wants to play the move, queen F5 is not good because of the pawn on C7. But in the next future, maybe black will have some ideas to play queen F5, maybe to play bishop D8 in queen F5, and white will just play queen B5 with the double threat here. So A6, just developing a pawn and improving his position, and also prophylactic from queen B5 in some variations. So queen E2, rook F5, B4, rook F7, you see, just going back and forth and back. Knight A7, attacking the pawn, and of course avoiding B5, G4, knight C8. Of course, queen takes A4 is not good because of bishop takes C7. Bishop takes G7 also makes sense, right? Because this bishop is under attack, but also bishop C7 makes a lot of sense for me. Knight E5, this pawn will be weak. Yeah, it seems good. So knight C8 was played. A5, of course, after knight C8, black wants to bring the knight to B6 and C4, and this square is very strong square for the knight from C8. So A5, just preventing this plan. Bishop D6, rook E1, queen D8, rook F1, knight E7, queen D3, queen D7, king G1, knight C6, king G2, knight E7. Yes, and they both like they don't have some motivation to play this game, because this is the two last rounds in the tournament, and they were very tired, of course, and I only can imagine how difficult is to prepare such tournament, prepare against such strong players like Abbasov and Vidit and Nakamura and Caruana and Yanni Pomnishi and Pragananda and Gukesh, and it's very, very tough. So yeah, they both of them play, of course, wanted to have a possibility to win maybe, but they agreed to a draw. So Vidit against Abbasov, 13th round of this candidates tournament. We have a draw, the first draw in this round. No first. We have already a draw. Yanni Pomnishi versus Hikaru Nakamura. So let's see the third game of this round. We have here with white pieces Gukesh against Alireza Firouzja. Don't you remember maybe what was the final result between both of them in the first game between each and other in this tournament, in the FIDE candidates? So I can tell you, Firouzja won with white pieces. So let's see, maybe Gukesh will do the unbelievable and manage to win him back with white pieces. So let's see what happened. E4, this is the move of the FIDE candidates. It's our move, E4, and we are celebrating. So yeah, it's good to see so much games with 1 point. E4, yes, E5, 93, 96, and we have the Spanish Rui Lopez. Knight F6, the Berlin defense, D3. Gukesh don't want to go for an end game, and he plays D3, and now castle, and now knight D4. Yes, after bishop C5, we already talked about it. I think in some games before, there are several options to play here. For example, C3 to avoid this knight D4 move. Also bishop takes C6, D takes C6, and H3 and castle, and knight BD2, knight C4, knight B3. Some ideas like this, but he playing the move castle. I also one time I think I also played something like this. Knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, and knight d2 was played by Gukesh. C6, bishop c4, d6, c3, bishop b6, and bishop b3. It seems like Gukesh is not thinking at all in this position. a5. What do you think about this move, a5? So it seems like Gukesh wants to bring his knight to c4 and to attack this bishop on b6. And after it, after bishop c7, this bishop will not feel at home there, because bishop g5, knight e3, f4, it seems like white pieces are doing fine. So a5, I think the idea and the logical opinion is just to bring the possibility to play bishop a7 after knight c4. So knight c4 was played. You can see that a5 was not calculated in Gukesh preparation in this game. So knight c4 was played, bishop a7 as we understand, and now knight e3. I think a4 makes a lot of sense for me, because a4, is blocking all the b5 moves, also a4 move. For example, a3 here, I think a4 is just black is just better, because bishop takes c4 is just bad after b5 and double attack, right? So, and after bishop c2, for example, b5, and this bishop is not good here, and black is just totally fine here. So knight e3 was played, also a4, I think. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I think the next move may be king h1 and f4. By the way, this is my opinion, but Gukesh is a little bit, of course, with a lot of joke here. It's a little bit better than me, so we must understand and learn from him, not from me. So knight e3 was played by white. Castle, queen f3. It seems like Gukesh wants to bring the knight on f5 and bishop g5. d5 was played, bishop c2. Okay, in this position, I must say that I really like black position. I think in this position maybe knight f5. I'm not sure about it, because knight f5 just wants to bring the bishop to g5, rook e1, rook ad1. Oh, sorry, rook ad1, because the bishop on b3 is doing a job, right? And if you are playing bishop c2, it feels like something went wrong in the opening for Gukesh. G6, very logical move, just avoiding from the knight to come to F5. Rook E1, yeah, understandable move. E takes D5, C takes D5, and H3. Okay, in this position, black should be a little bit better, and of course, equal is for sure. For example, Rook E8, I think Rook C8 I will be played, but okay, Rook E8 was played, yes, as we see. Bishop A4, E4. I think in this position maybe Rook C8 was a little bit better, because now D4, a little bit annoying, I'm not sure, but it's interesting. 100%. So Rook E8 was played. Now Bishop is coming to the game. Bishop A4, and maybe Gukesh understand that the Bishop on C2 is just doing nothing. So E4 was played. D takes E4, D takes E4, and Queen E2, and now Rook E7. Knight F1. I think this is one of the moves of the game. As in this position, we must understand, yeah. So let's see. This knight is doing nothing here, right? Not coming back, not coming to F5, not on D5, no C4, G4, maybe possible, but it's not looking so good. The bishop is not good on C1, the rook is not good on A1. The bishop on A4, it's good, but yeah, nothing to say brilliantly, right? But when we will play this move, knight F1, we're coming back with the knight. We will have the opportunity to play bishop E3, bishop F4, bishop G5, and also bishop H6. One of them will be good, right? This knight will come to G3. After we will develop our bishop, the rook will come to the game, and all the pieces will work. So knight F1, very strong move. I think with 1 minute, he played it in 1 minute of thought. Brilliant move, I think, by Gukesh. Queen C7, Bishop B3. Also here, he understands that Bishop C4 is a little bit threat here. So Bishop B3, of course, prophylactic move. A4, Bishop takes E6. For example, Bishop A4 is just bad after Bishop C4, Queen, C2, I think. Bishop D3. Yeah, it seems like just losing position, right? I don't know why, but it looks so bad. Knight H5 maybe take this one like this, G3, E3. Seems like winning, but yeah, maybe just winning position. Absolutely winning. So maybe this one is just working, but I'm not sure. Yes. So A4, just bishop takes C6 makes sense, and bishop E3. And just Gukesh understand that this bishop on A7 is just a monster here, and he must exchange this bishop. So A3 was played, C4, and now after A takes B2, just queen takes B2. Queen takes C4, queen takes B7. For example, this one is queen C6 or queen D5. I think queen C6, take, and it seems like a very drawish position. But he played the move knight H5. It seems like Firouzja, as you probably know him, is very active player. He wants every game to win. He wants to find some ideas. He wants to fight. And knight H5, it's a fighting move here. By Firouzja with the black pieces against Gukesh is feeling like maybe I will have the possibility to win Gukesh and remove him from the World Championship challenger. G3, Bishop C5, B3, F5 was played. Just wants to crash with F4. Bishop takes C5, Queen takes C5, Rook A1, bringing the Rook. Rook F8 makes sense. Rook D5, Queen E7, F4 was played by White. Knight F6, Rook D2. Of course, E takes F3. It's cannot possible because of this. Yes, and Rook up. So Knight F6, Rook D2, and G5. And this move is maybe a little bit mistake. Why? Because G5, it's really weakness this pawn on F5. And after G5, Gukesh is playing very fast, knight E3, and he wants to grab this pawn on F5, right? So G takes F4, G takes F4, Queen F7, and now King H2. And now it's really strange, but now White is playing for a win with Rook G1, Queen G2, 95 maybe, rook is coming here, maybe rook, queen E1, rook G2 and queen C3. So much things, so much plans for white, and Firouzja with only 5 minutes for 5 moves. Let's see, knight H5, queen F2, quiet move, prophylactic, rook G6, rook D5, this pawn on F5 is a weak pawn, knight G7, prophylactic move, rook D1. You see, Gukesh is playing very fast. Firouzja with 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock. It's very, very tough situation to handle. Rook D7 is a threat. Maybe queen H4. So much things and no time. Rook H6. Rook G1 is coming back to G1 to G5. Rook G6, rook D1. Rook H6. And Firouzja and also Gukesh have the time increment. So 40 move already played. Gukesh in round 13. Yes, he needs to win it. Let's see how it goes. So rook G1 is coming back, rook G6, and now queen H4. Gukesh is claiming, I want to win this game. I want with all my heart to be the world championship challenger. Rook takes G1, king takes G1, king H8, king F2. He's coming with the king because it's already in very, very close to an endgame position. Rook G6, G8, sorry, queen G5, threatening this pawn on F5, queen G6, and now is going to the endgame. Takes, rook D6, rook E8, takes the pawn, 96, 95, and it seems like it's just winning. Absolutely. 94, rook B6, because after king E3, for example, king E3, what was the idea? Oh, E3 maybe. Yes, E3. This was the idea. Take, yes. And of course now black is just totally fine here. So rook B6, knight C2 just wants to push E3. Rook takes B7. Gukesh said everything is fine. I'm here. I know what I'm doing. Now knight F6 will come. Rook H7 checkmate. What can you do? Rook E6. Now I thought about E3, but I think just king E2. And now knight D4, king D3, and E2 is just knight F6. And it's game over. Checkmate in the next move. So rook E6 was played now. Rook E7 wants just to remove these rooks from E-file, and just these pawns will run and will give the white win of this game. Rook H6 was played, C5 is coming, knight D4, king G2, quiet move. Gukesh is not afraid from nothing. Rook G6, king F2, rook H6, and now B4, quiet move. 37 seconds on the clock for Gukesh, and so not easy to handle such positions with this time trouble. King G2, rook H6, rook B7, bringing the rook to help. B5, C6 and C7, king G8, B5, king F8, B6, rook G6, king F2, rook H6, rook C7, check, king G3, and Firouzja resigned. Wow, unbelievable game. I think after rook takes A2, just B7, rook B2, rook C8, I will play, also knight B6. Knight B6, yes, knight B6 and a queen, yeah. So, king G3, and Firouzja resigned. Gukesh with 8.5 points out of 13 possible. Unbelievable performance by Gukesh, and he didn't want a draw. He wants to win this game with white pieces, and maybe to bring himself into the best situation in round 14, the last round of the FIDE Candidates tournament. It's unbelievable situation, and Gukesh is doing it again. Wow. Let's see the last game of this round. We have with white pieces Pragananda against Fabiano Caruana. So the last game between them was a French opening by Pragananda with the black pieces, and the game was drawn after a very, very fast game, just exchanging all the pieces and the draw. So let's see what happened in this game. Fabiano Caruana is playing the C5 move. Fabiano Caruana is claiming, I want to win, I want to win. I know that Pragananda has no opportunity to bring himself to a world championship match. So I will do my best. Maybe there is no motivation for Prague, and maybe I can do the unbelievable and impossible to win 4 times in a row, I think, or 3 times, I'm not sure. So c5 was played by Fabiano. Knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, and knight f6, as we already saw in this tournament. I think also against Vidit and also against Firouzja with the black pieces. Fabiano is playing this line. Bishop takes c6, d takes c6, d3, like Vidit. Queen c7 was played. I think in the game against Vidit he played the move bishop g4, but now queen c7, a little bit novelty for Prague. Let's see, but Prague is playing very fast. Knight bd2 is knowing this line, e5, a4, bishop e6, b3. You can see that he just put all his pawns in white squares against this bishop on e6. So bishop e7, knight c4, knight d7, knight g5, and bishop takes c4. What do you think about this choice by black? In this position, of course, bishop takes g5 also makes a lot of sense. Bishop takes g5, I think now maybe takes and the position is, knight f8, knight e6, knight d4, rook d8. Something like this, for me, makes a lot of sense because the position is very close. And, as you also, a chess player, you understand that the knight is more flexible in closed positions. So, yeah, bishop takes c4 and bishop takes g5 makes a lot of sense for me. B takes c4, knight f8 without taking the knight on g5. Fabiano is playing the move knight f8. Queen g4, h5 was played. He's playing, with very aggressive style. Queen f5, bishop d6, castle, queen e7, queen h3. I'm not sure about this move. I think f4 makes a lot of sense for me, but maybe f6. Yeah, f6 is a problematic move. But knight f3, g6, queen h3, and take. Yeah. Knight h4. No, I'm not sure. Takes. What about e5? F takes e5, bishop takes f4, right? If I'm not mistaken. If e takes f4, rook a1. Seems like white is just better. But yeah, f4, it seems like for me, if I'm not missing something, it's very logical to open the position, to open the f file, to open the bishop, to improve the position. Also, rook b1 makes a lot of sense. But queen h3 was played by Prague. After, I cannot say. Somehow it seems like he played it very fast. f6, knight f3, and g5. Yes, and now just Fabiano. Queen h3 was a little bit strange, because now after f6, g5, the pawns are running, and the queen on h3 is doing nothing. The knight on f3 is doing nothing. So, I'm not sure why Prague played the move queen h3. So knight d2, knight e6, coming with the knight to f4 to d4. It seems like black is doing just perfect. Rook e1, g4, queen e3, castle long. White is just in a bad position. All the pieces bad, right? So it's something went wrong for Prague. Also with 37 minutes on the clock for 20 moves. Queen e2, rook dg8, just wants to push h4, g3, knight f4. Knight f1, h4 was played, knight e3, knight d4, queen d1 and h3. Yes, he wants this square for the knight. g3, knight f3, king h1, just take the rook, queen takes, and now queen d7. This position is not so easy to handle with both of sides, because of course exchange up for black, but there will not be a checkmate here, and this knight can jump here. This bishop on d6 not seems like too happy with his position. a5, bishop a3, this pawn, like some games like this, right? So not so easy to understand. Rook b1 was played by Prague, bishop f8, bishop a3, king b8, queen e2, king a8, some moves with the king to run away, king g1, rook h7, queen d1, rook g7, king f1, queen d8, queen e1, rook g5, rook b3, rook h5, rook b1, bishop d6, you know, some moves. It seems like they are not playing with a lot of, you know, plans here. Queen d1, bishop d6, queen e2, bishop f8, f3 was played. I think f3 was a little bit, you know, in psychological sense, it was like, oh, I want to push somehow. Yeah, this is the 40 move in the game, and f3 is like, you know, maybe you should think how can you survive in this position. But as I understand, black just wants to push bishop h6 and take this knight on a3. So maybe f3 is must play move, right? Queen takes, rook h7, knight f5, and this now knight on f5 is doing perfect. So maybe, you know, maybe f3 was the right solution. Bishop d2, queen h5, takes the queen. Wow, takes the queen. King e2, b6, king e3, rook h7, g4, bishop e7, king g3, bishop d8, bishop e3, a5, rook b3, coming with the king, and now bishop c7, and wants somehow to put b5. Wow, unbelievable choice by Fabiano Caruana. Wants to win until the end. Let's bring us the a pawn. A pawn will be close to a queen, so b5 is perfect. Takes on b5, bishop takes c5, b takes a4, knight e3, and now all the pieces are coming into the game, just protecting the pawn on f6, and rook c8, knight c4, rook c6, rook a1, bishop b6, wants to come to d4, bishop c1, bishop d4, takes, bishop c3, rook a3, bishop b4, bishop e1, rook b7, rook b5. Yeah, you know, it's such games like this one are very complicated, and we need to learn how to play easy, how to play calm, how much time do we have in such critical moments, right? It's very important to see how much Fabiano Caruana here is, you know, calm. He don't want to win it fast. He want to win one move by one move. He's quiet. He don't think about the result. Yeah, it's so important to understand in chess and also in sport that we don't need to think about the result. And yeah, it's really important. So bishop a1 was played, rook d7, d4, rook c7, take, rook b3, and in this position just game over. King f4, rook c1, e5, takes, take on a1, take, and bishop d2, e6, take on e3, king f5, bishop c5, and yeah, rook c1, king b6, g5, bishop e7, king g6, a4, rook e3, a3, king b7, yes, take the pawn, rook a6, yes, takes, g6, a2, g7, queen, and queen a2. It's a game over. Fabiano Caruana with the black pieces is winning Pragananda. Fabiano Caruana with three or four. Yes, it was like, no, 2 times in a row. Yeah, he won like Vidit with the white pieces, Prague with the black pieces, Firouzja with the white pieces, Gukesh draw. So yeah, 3.5 out of 4. Unbelievable performance by Fabiano after a very tough loss to Hikaru Nakamura. So Fabiano with 8 of 13 out of 13 points. So Fabiano Caruana, maybe he will be the World Championship challenger. So what is our current situation? We have Fabiano with 8 points. We have Nepomniachtchi with 8 points. Hikaru with the 8 points. And Gukesh, above all, with 8.5 points. So the next round will be amazing to see. The last round of the FIDE candidates 2024. Maybe we will have tie breaks. Maybe we will have blitz. Maybe we will have rapid. Let's see the next video. So Gukesh will be the World Championship challenger? No way. Let's see in the next video. Goodbye, my friends. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe my channel and like the videos. Thank you very much. It's helping me a lot. and see you in the next video. Bye bye.